Welcome back to my channel. If you new here, don't forget, subscribe my channel. My wife and I started renovating our apartment, and it was coming to an end. There was still painting to be done, and as a consequence, the stifling odor of solvent, we decided to spend the night at my wife's parents' house, who lived a 5-minute walk from our house. My relations with her relatives were not very good, especially with my wife's stepfather, who liked to drink, and then start to get conceited. She and her mother-in-law had no children in common. For some reason, it didn't work out. My wife was at work that day, so I quickly painted everything, left the windows open, and went to my mother-in-law's house. My wife and I agreed to be there by 6 o'clock, and she would come too. I didn't want to listen to moralizing. Alone, my mother-in-law was in the kitchen with a neighbor from the 5th floor, had already finished a bottle of cognac and was having fun. In about 5 minutes, the neighbor went home to meet her husband from work, and we were left alone. My mother-in-law's husband was away on business in another city, and he was to arrive in a day. Son-in-law, let's have a drink while Claire's at work. My mother-in-law, a bottle of tincture out of her stash. Let's do it. I agreed. We drank a couple of shots with her. Then the phone rang. My wife called to warn me that she would be late for 2 hours. Mother-in-law was well hungover and sitting at the table, paid little attention to her appearance. The floor and robe parted to the sides, and when she bent over the table, her charms were clearly visible. But the mother-in-law is not bad. I thought the wife and mother-in-law were similar in figure. Slender, with a developed bust of size 3. That's a lot to take in. The mother-in-law was 42, the wife 21. I began to frankly assess her appearance. At this time, the mother-in-law came to the sink and went to the cupboard upstairs to get cups. Suddenly, the partition breaks off and the dishes are about to fly down. "Dylan, help me." "Quick," shouts my mother-in-law. I came up behind her and pressed myself tightly against her mother-in-law, but there was no other way to help. My mother-in-law smelled nice. The robe was almost all open, and I stared at her. Basic instinct. Nothing to do. My mother-in-law didn't notice anything yet, adjusting the dishes, rising and falling on her toes. It looked like she was rubbing against me, which put my boyfriend on alert. "You're a hot lady, Doris," I said in her ear. Then my tension in her, and froze in place. She was in shock and didn't know how to act. From the kitchen, we moved to the bedroom, and I decided to take the initiative. Suddenly, the intercom rang. My mother-in-law looked at me fearfully, not knowing what to do. "Tie your robe. Go open the door and then go to the kitchen to cook dinner. And I'll quickly clean up here," I said. She tied her robe and went to the intercom. I got dressed, made up the bed, and finding my mother-in-law's underwear, put it under my pillow while the wife went up the elevator. I had time to do everything when my wife came in. My mother-in-law was cutting salad and I was on the balcony. "How did you do without me? We didn't have a fight and I'm dead tired at work. I'm going to take a shower," my wife said. I sat down to the table where my mother-in-law was cooking. She tried to act as if nothing had happened in the evening. We sat down to dinner. When we went to bed, I began to pester my wife, but she refused, saying that she was tired and wanted to sleep, so I fell asleep. I woke up in the night from the desire to go to the toilet. Coming out of the toilet, I decided to go to my mother-in-law's bedroom. She was lying on her side with her back to me. I've been there. I closed the doors of both bedrooms and ducked under the covers from behind, and I started pestering her. "What are you doing?" "Claire might wake up," my mother-in-law wailed, but there was no stopping me. So we did the very thing we'd been distracted from during the day. Then we lay cuddled together, and my mother-in-law cried that she was a good woman, but that it was rare to be with her husband now, and I wanted to. It started to light up outside the window having my mother-in-law. I went to my wife's bedroom. I quietly lay down in bed next to my wife. There was a gentle warmth coming from Claire. I hugged her. My touch woke her up. "Come on, while Mommy's asleep," my wife whispered. I was okay with one more time and agreed. In the morning, the wife left with her mother-in-law for the market, and I went to our house a week later. My wife says to me, "Mom asked me to hang a shelf, can't the stepfather do it?" I asked. "He went away for 3 days, replied my wife, pouting. What is difficult? And the shelf hung up on the fun to the full, so I served my mother and daughter, but became the best son-in-law. Mother-in-law for me, mountain and 9 months from that memorable night with a difference of a couple of days. My father-in-law and I took from the maternity hospital of their wives. They gave birth to boys who looked just like each other. They're relatives. The father-in-law is proud of the heir. Everybody's happy and only my